war, it's almost impossible to eliminate the African participation. That is the
almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
That's
and
right.
And that nobody in reality really gave the African race citizenship or political rights. It's something that, in a real sense, I think you've demonstrated here that they actually earned.
Right. As is erroneously taught in a lot of Southern history books. In fact, which leave out the fact that black soldiers were among the first in the captured city on April 3rd, 1865. And as you know, a few days later, April 15th, Lincoln died after suffering a gunshot wound on the night of April 14th. But that amendment, the 13th, was passed December 18th, 1865. And then 3 years later, of course, the 14th Amendment and then the 15th Amendment. Those three amendments, the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, as a result of the Civil War, completely revised the Constitution of 1787. We also forget that the Constitution of 1787 is revised completely by those three amendments.
The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. It makes it
if the
entirely different document.
If the founding fathers saw the Constitution of 1870, they wouldn't recognize it.
Not only would they not recognize it, they probably would not approve of it, according to what you yourself have said in reference to the Declaration of Independence.
Well, some would. George Washington, the father of the country, would approve. He was the only president that upon his death in 1799, December 1799, his will freed all 124 of his slaves. And Washington did that to set a precedent for the country. We got to solve this problem. And they didn't heed him. And as a result, we had Civil War in 1860.
And of course, I think locally, we generally celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation. That is the coming of January 1st and et cetera.
1863.
Make some statements in reference to the attitude that Africans must have taken when it started coming around from between September and January the 1st, when there was some uncertainty in reference to whether or not the South would.
Well, many African Americans celebrate January 1st as Emancipation Day because that is what started it all, when Lincoln issued his executive order. But as you know, executive order disappears after a president is gone. So, but Lincoln did push to get the 13th Amendment proposed, and he did get that done before he died, and then it was passed. But few of us celebrate the real date, which is December 18th, 1865. That's the day that the 13th Amendment was ratified. And that's the day that slavery was really abolished all over the country. Some from Texas celebrate June 25th, 1865, because the Texans didn't find out that the Emancipation Proclamation had been passed until the Union Navy arrived at Galveston, Texas.
As Texans are.
And they still celebrate something called Juneteenth. But really, Lincoln had issued it 1863, and then the real date for all of us really is December 18th, 1865.
Finally, do you find individuals to be somewhat excited about the commemoration, the 150-year commemoration of this war?
Not the youngest generation, and we talked about that recently at a meeting over in Murfreesboro. We've got to do more things to educate teachers, and teaching materials are being prepared. But to educate teachers so they can teach youngsters how important Tennessee was in the Civil War. So that's one of the tasks of this Sesquicentennial commemoration.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Lovett, let me thank you for bringing by that excellent information, as you generally do. And of course, let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Congress. Thank you, and